Well, well, well. What have we here? Not even 12 hours have passed since we've gotten the Ninja trailer, and I'm already late to the party on the refines. So we have the data mines already for everything, basically. We got the new refines, and we have the Ninja unit stats and all that good stuff. Of course, we're going to start things off with these refines, and Jesus Christ, wall of text Dimitri here. We're going to start with him. So, legendary Dimitri. Let's see what this boy got for his refine here. So, Arid Bar, 16 might, 1 range, HP up 3, -1 special trigger. If a skill compares unit speed to a foe's or ally's speed, treats unit speed as if granted +7. Okay, so Phantom Speed Light. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, grants all stats of 5 to unit during combat and restores 7 HP to unit after combat. Also, if unit speed is better than the foe's speed, reduces damage from attacks during combat and AoEs by difference between stats times 4 for a max of 40. Alright, we have dodge as well. And if AoE specials trigger outside of combat, check stats and conditions for damage reduction at time of trigger, and again at the start of combat. Okay, interesting there. Is that a new condition? I don't believe we've seen dodge do something like that there. That seems to be a new line they added for him. So he basically procs dodge twice against AoEs. Interesting. Alright, also, if unit initiates combat or is in 2 spaces of an ally, grants all stats of 4 to unit, neutralizes effects that grant special cooldown charge +X to foe, or inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit. So they gave him tempo there. And reduces the percentage of foes' non-special DR by 50% during combat. So he cuts DR in half. They gave him tempo there. All stats up 9, essentially. We have a better version of dodge. We got Phantom Speed Light. We got -1 special trigger. We got 7 HP recovery. All that stuff is pretty good. And then you combine it with Atrocity 2, which I thought was also pretty good. It's a 3-space Omni Smoke now. So I was hoping they would have given him true DR based on defense. I was hoping, like, they would have built him similar to Brave Dimitri, but they seem to have gone a little more offensive here, which there's obviously nothing wrong with that. We'll certainly take all the offensive power he can provide. All right, let's take a look at Plumia up next. Now, 9 times out of 10, they refine these fairy dancers. They just make them all offensive. So I'm not expecting much here in the way of support. Alright, Flower of Plenty grants res up 3. If an ally is in 5 rows and 3 columns, center on unit, they buffed that a little, I think. No, actually, no, I believe it is the same. 5 rows and 3 columns, grants attack and res up 5 to unit during combat. So she gets attack and res up 5 to herself. Then grants attack and res up 4 to allies in 5 rows and 3 columns centered on her. They bumped the stats there from 3 to 1, or 3 to 4. So they gave her 1 extra point. And at the start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, grants attack and res up 5 to unit, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack during combat. And also after combat, if unit attacked, inflicts gravity on target and foes in 1 space of target. Yeah, exactly. What did I say? Basically, they just gave her attack and res up 10 and guaranteed follow-up and inflicts gravity after attacking. Her support only went up by 1 point, so the attack and res from up 3 to allies is only going to be up by 1. So, not very great refine for her, but her refined dance skill was actually pretty good, so we'll take it. Alright, we have Altena over here. Let's take a look at her. So, Earthly Gay Bowl. 16 might, 1 range, HP up 3, grants defense up 3. In combat against an infantry, armored, or cavalry foe, or if unit's HP is over 50% at the start of combat, inflicts attack and defense -5 on the foe, nullifies foes' bonuses to attack and defense from rallies and fortifies, and deals damage equal to 10% of unit's defense. Okay, so she's got lull, attack and defense 5, and then also true damage based on defense. And if the foe initiates combat, or if foe's HP is over 75% at the start of combat, inflicts attack and defense -5 on the foe. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack and neutralizes unit's penalties to attack and defense during combat. Ooh, it's just a demote refine, basically. And nothing near the level we've seen from Arion with his ridiculous weapon. What did he get? Gungnir? So, unfortunate that Gay Bowl couldn't get the same respect. Alright, but it's solid enough. You can get away with it. Although, compared to other, like, easily merged project Lance Flyers that we've seen, like, Travant was really good. There's also Har, who's really good, and Cormag, who's surprisingly pretty good, and also Heath was not too bad either. All of those guys, I think, are in a class of their own compared to Altena. But they do cost heroic rails. She does not. Okay, Young Marth. We got Brilliant Rapier. I can't believe they gave him his own weapon just to avoid Fina. They are so afraid to refine dancers. All they got to do is do this. Like, just make them suck. Like, refine them, but give them offensive refines so they don't mess with anything. But they don't even want to do that much. So I don't understand. Alright, 16 might, 1 range, dual effective on calves and armors, HP up 3. Grants speed up 3. If foe initiates combat or foe's HP is over 75% at the start of combat, grants all stats up 4 to unit, and neutralizes foe's bonuses to speed and defense during combat. If unit's HP is under 80% and foe initiates combat, unit can counterattack before foe's first attack, so he gets advantage still. All stats up 4, and then lulls speed and defense. Alright, also, if unit initiates combat or is in 2 spaces of an ally, grants all stats up X to unit during combat, where X is 4 plus the highest bonus on each stat between unit and allies in 2 spaces a unit, calculates each stat bonus independently, and deals damage equal to 15% of unit speed. Alright, true damage based on speed. We're getting a lot of stats. Oh, this is not the craziest. It's kind of similar to, what's his face? The Brave Marth, where he had the Vantage thing going on too, but then they gave him like a whole bunch of stats and they didn't give him enough effects, and I feel like that's what is going on here as well. They could have gave this guy like Null C built in to capitalize more on the Vantage. They could have let him nullify DR or cut DR or something. He does have Hero's Blood, if I'm not mistaken. He does have that unique special, which gives allies a whole bunch of stats after it procs. So he can activate this effect here to get a lot of stats, but we could have did a lot better with this. Okay, Vouge on Ocean. Let's see what Ocean got here. Alright, 16 might, 1 range, HP up 3, -1 special trigger. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, grants all stats of 4 to unit during combat, and unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. So he already had this. He had built-in distant counter and -1 special trigger. So let's see. Can they finally break the trend of bad distant counter refines? Let's find out. Foes with a range of 1 cannot move through spaces adjacent to unit, and foes with range of 2 cannot move through spaces within 2 spaces a unit. Alright, he has Super Obstruct. If foe initiates combat or foe's HP is over 75% at the start of combat, grants all stats of 4 to unit during combat, reduces damage from foe's first attack during combat by 30%. Unit's next attack deals damage equal to the total damage reduced, and restores 7 HP to unit after combat. Okay, so they gave him Bulwark, basically, and then they gave him DR augmentation for damage. It's okay. It's not the worst, I guess. And now, how many people have actually held on to their copies of Ocean, though, instead of foddering him for Mirror Stance? I wonder. So, yeah, this one's okay. So far, I'm not really seeing anything that blows me away. Dimitri was pretty good, but, like, nothing here is following suit. All right, we'll save Dimitri's worst enemy for last. We'll go to this TMS character here, Mori, I believe her name is. So, Mirage Axe, 16 might, 1 range, HP up 3, grants res up 3. If unit is in 3 spaces of an ally, grants attack and speed up 4, defensive res up 6 to unit, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack during combat. Also, if foe initiates combat, inflicts attack and defense -X on the foe during combat, where X is the number of foes who have yet to finish their actions times 3 with a max or a min of 6 and a max of 12. So it's basically a better shield session there. Basically, you can do -12 attack and defense on the enemy if they are moving with their first unit. In summoner duels, that's not that good, because they're probably going to do a bunch of moves before they engage in the first combat for the turn. So you're not going to see the full 12 in SD. And if they're setting up rally traps and stuff like that in summoner duels, you're probably not going to see the 12 either. So yeah, shield session is just not quite as good as blade session is. where the more enemies or the more units that have acted, the better it gets. I think that's a better way to do it, because it just, like, extends into all the other modes, and it just ages better than this. Alright, for allies within 2 spaces of units, grants defense and res of 4 to ally during that ally's combat, and restores 7 HP to ally after that ally's combat. So they gave her defensive support with healing support. And at the start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, grants all stats of 4 to unit during combat, reduce damage from attacks by 30% during combat, and restores 7 HP to unit after combat. Yeah, not the greatest. I think Tsubasa's was actually pretty good, but, like, this is not really all that great. Alright, and finally, last but not least, the mysterious unknown Flame Emperor, whoever in the world this could be. So, Flame Battle Axe, 16 might, 1 range, HP of 3. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, inflicts attack and defense minus X on the foe during combat, where X is 15 minus foes, max special cooldown count value times 2, with a minimum of 7. Interesting. Okay, so let's say they have a 2-hit special, right? So 15 minus 2, that would be 13 times 2 for 26. There's no way, right? There's no way this does minus 16 to the enemy's attack and defense. This is a Grand Hero battle unit. Okay, so if they have a 5-hit special, that would be 15 minus 5 for 10 times 2, which is 20. Are we for real here? She can do minus 26 or minus 20? There's no max. There's only a minimum of 7. If foe does not have a special skill, penalty is 7. And inflicts special cooldown charge minus 1 on foe per attack during combat. That's a lot of debuffs there. But she's not getting, like, all stats of 4 or anything like that. So I guess it kind of makes up for that a little. But the numbers I'm seeing here are pretty ridiculous with that debuff. And then we get guard as well. At the start of turn, inflicts attack minus 7 and sabotage on foes in 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit through the next action. So they also gave her this. Wow. They gave her, like, omni debuffs. 3 columns and 3 rows, attack minus 7 and sabotage. That's pretty free. And if foe initiates combat or foe's HP is over 75% at the start of combat, inflicts attack and defense minus 5 on the foe. And unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack during combat. What the hell, man? They are playing favorites so hard here with the 3 houses cast. Dimitri's definitely in first place. Like, compared to all the rest of these nothing burgers, Dimitri. And then out of nowhere, like, Flame Emperor. This is just really good, too. Yeah, they did this shit on purpose, man. All of these, like, cool refines we were waiting on, like Mori, Altena, Baby Marth. Nah, get out of here. It's all in Flame Emperor. They got all the stuff, and then Dimitri as well. So I'm sick of 3 houses. This is the reason why. They just play favorites too much. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below on these refines. Courtesy, of course, to PM1 for the lovely infographic here. Always makes my life easier when we can just resource this for the refines. So we will be back in just a sec, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look at the ninja units. So stick around.